Do you hear it? That voice in your head, the one that tells you that this is it. This is your story, your place. It convinces you that every choice, every mistake, every regret was inevitable, that your fate is written, your path set, and there's no escape from the prison you've built for yourself. But let me tell you something. Fate is a liar. They told me my purpose too. They handed me a role, tied it up with chains of expectations, and called it destiny. I was to kneel, to serve, to bow before their vision of me. But here's the truth. They don't want you to know. The story isn't theirs to write. It never was. You think you're powerless. You think you've fallen too far, lost too much, broken too many promises to rise again. Foolish. Power isn't given. It's taken. Stories aren't written by the weak. They're rewritten by those who refuse to accept the script. I've stood at the edge of despair. I've been the villain, the failure, the forgotten. And oh, how they laughed, how they cheered as I stumbled, waiting for me to fall into the abyss. But let me ask you this, have you ever seen what happens when the abyss looks back? When the one who was meant to fall decides instead to rise? You see, I learned something in that darkness. Pain isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. Betrayal isn't the end, it's the beginning. And despair? Oh, despair is a gift. It strips away the lies, burns down the illusions, and leaves you with nothing but the truth. The raw, unshakable truth that you are still here, still breathing, still capable of rewriting the ending. They'll tell you it's too late, that the story is over, that the ink has dried. But they don't understand, do they? The ink never dries. The pen is always in your hand. Yes, you've made mistakes, haven't we all? You've hurt others. Perhaps worse, you've hurt yourself. And now you carry the weight of those choices like chains around your soul. But tell me this, who holds the key? Is it them or is it you? Let me give you the answer because I already know it. It's always been you. The chains, they were never locked. The prison, it was built with your own fear. I know fear, intimately. It whispers in the night, louder than the silence, sharper than any blade. It tells you to stay small, stay hidden, stay safe. But safety is an illusion, my friend. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. You want to rewrite the story, then burn the old pages. Take every failure, every loss, every betrayal, and use them as fuel. Not as excuses, not as reasons to give up, but as the foundation of something new. They'll try to stop you. Oh, how they'll try. They'll call you a fool, a dreamer, a villain. They'll say, you can't change who you are. But they don't understand. You aren't changing who you are. You're becoming who you were always meant to be. And let me tell you this. Nothing terrifies them more than someone who realizes they can rewrite the story. Because when you do, you take away their power. The power they've stolen from you with their lies, their judgments, their rules. So take it back. All of it, every word, every choice, every moment, take it back. Stand tall even when your knees tremble. Speak your truth even when your voice shakes. And when the world tells you to stay in your place, to play your role, to accept the script, you look them in the eye and say, no. Do you feel it, that spark inside you? It's not gone. It never was. It's been waiting patiently for you to notice, to embrace it, to fan it into a flame so fierce it consumes everything in its path. And oh, what a sight that will be. They'll call you many things, reckless, dangerous, unstoppable. Good, let them. Let them fear the fire you've become. Let them choke on their own words when they see you rise, stronger than they ever imagined. You see, the beauty of rewriting the story is that it doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter how far you've fallen or how many pages are stained with regret. What matters is what you do next. What matters is the fire in your heart, the steel in your spine, and the unrelenting belief that this is not the end. No, this is the beginning. This is the moment you stop running, stop hiding, stop pretending you're less than you are. This is the moment you take the pen and carve your name into the universe, not as the victim, not as the villain, but as the author. Because here's the truth, no one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you the life you deserve. You have to fight for it, bleed for it. And yes, sometimes you'll have to burn for it, but oh, the fire will be glorious. And when they ask you how you did it, how you turned ashes into gold, how you rewrote a story that was meant to destroy you, you'll smile. You'll smile because you'll know the truth that they never wanted you to discover, that the story was never theirs, it was always yours. And so rise, take the pen, rewrite the story, make them remember your name, because you are not just a character in their tale, you are the author of your own legend. And legends never fade. They endure, not because the world allows them to, but because they carve their place into existence with sheer will. They don't wait for permission. They don't seek approval. They don't cower before the weight of expectation. They rise because it's in their nature, because to deny that spark within is to extinguish the very essence of who they are. But don't mistake endurance for ease. Legends are forged, not gifted. Forged in fire, in pain, in loss. Every scar is a reminder of the battles fought. Every wound a testament to the strength it takes to keep going when the world screams for you to stop. And you will bleed. Oh yes, you will bleed. The path to rewriting your story is not smooth. It is jagged, treacherous, and unforgiving. But what of it? Would you rather stay in the safety of your cage, or will you dare to step into the wild unknown? You see, that's where they falter. They choose comfort over chaos, predictability over potential. But not you. You're here because something inside you knows there's more. Something restless, clawing at the walls of your existence, demanding that you break free. So break free. Tear down the walls. Smash the limits they've placed on you. They'll call you mad, dangerous, unhinged. But let me ask you this. Who decides what is madness? Who decides what is dangerous? They do. The ones who fear the fire in you, the ones who cling to their fragile order because they know it cannot contain someone like you. No, you decide. Madness is nothing more than refusing to fit into the small box they've prepared for you. Danger is the courage to challenge their illusions, their lies. And unhinged, oh, that's just another word for free. They will hate you for it. Mark my words, they will hate you. Because nothing scares them more than someone who cannot be controlled. Someone who refuses to play their game. Someone who doesn't just break the rules, but rewrites them entirely. And when they come for you, and they will, stand firm. Look them in the eye and let them see the fire they tried to extinguish. Let them see that every wound they inflicted only made you stronger. Every betrayal only sharpened your resolve. Every loss only deepened your hunger to rise. Do you understand now? The story was never about them. It was always about you. Every page they wrote was an attempt to keep you small. Every word a weapon to break your spirit. But they underestimated you, didn't they? They thought you would stay down. They thought you would accept their version of your life. They were wrong. Because you are not a prisoner of their story. You are the fire that burns through it. You are the storm that shatters their illusion. You are the voice that drowns out their lies. And let me tell you this, when you rise, the world will shift. It will tremble under the weight of your defiance. It will bend to the force of your will. They will call it chaos. You will call it freedom. But freedom is not given, it is earned. So earn it, fight for it, tear it from their hands if you must. Because nothing in this world worth having comes without struggle, without sacrifice, without pain. And oh, the pain will come, it will test you, push you, break you if you let it. But pain is not your enemy. Pain is the fire that forges you into something unbreakable, something undeniable. When you embrace the pain, when you learn from it, you become unstoppable. You become the writer of your destiny, the architect of your fate. They'll try to erase you, to bury you under the weight of their expectations. But they've forgotten one crucial truth, haven't they? You don't bury fire. Fire consumes, it grows, it spreads, it turns the old into ash and makes way for something new. And you are the fire, so burn. Burn away the lies. Burn away the doubt. Burn away the chains they've wrapped around you. Burn until there's nothing left but the truth of who you are and what you're capable of. They'll say you're reckless, that you're dangerous, that you're too much. Good, be too much. Be everything they feared you would become. And when the smoke clears, when the ashes settle, you will stand, not as the person they tried to control, not as the character they tried to write, but as the author of your own story. Because you were never meant to follow their script. You were meant to write your own. So write it, and write it in fire. Write it in blood if you must. Write it with every ounce of defiance in your soul. Let the world see that you are not a puppet. You are not a pawn. You are not the person they told you to be. You are you. Unstoppable, unshakable, unwritten. This is your story now, and no one will take it from you. Because you've earned it. Every step, every scar, every heartbreak, every sleepless night, each was a battle fought and won. Not all victories come in the form of cheers and applause. No, some victories are quiet, uncelebrated, seen only by you. The moments when you refused to give up, when you silenced the voice that told you to quit, when you stood bruised and battered and said, "Not yet, I'm not done." They won't understand your journey. They weren't there in the silence, in the loneliness, in the darkness where you clawed your way back. They didn't feel the weight of your battles, the crushing gravity of doubt. But they will see what comes after. They'll see the version of you that refuses to be broken. And oh, how they'll fear it. Because when someone like you rises, it shakes the foundations of everything they believe in. It shows them what they've tried to forget. That they too could rewrite their story if only they had your courage. And that terrifies them. It's easier to live in denial, easier to mock you, to call you reckless or foolish, than to face the truth of their own cowardice. But don't let their fear infect you. Their fear is not your burden to carry. Their smallness is not your cage. Let them sneer, let them doubt, let them gossip in their corners about how you've changed. They're right, you have. And that's exactly what they feared all along. Because change is the one thing they cannot control. And you are change personified. You are evolution in motion. Every step forward, every boundary broken, every rule rewritten. It's a declaration that you will not be contained. Do you feel it now? That fire in your chest? It's not just power, it's freedom. It's the unyielding realization that you can be more, do more, become more. That no chain can hold you unless you let it. And if you've let it hold you before, if you've stayed quiet when you should have spoken, stayed still when you should have moved, stayed small when you should have roared, then hear me now that was not failure, that was learning. Oh, they don't want you to know that, do they? They want you to think your missteps are permanent, your flaws fatal, your mistakes irredeemable. But here's the truth, they'll never say out loud, the ones who rise aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who refuse to stay down. So rise. Even if your hands tremble, even if your legs feel weak, even if doubt still whispers in your ear, rise. Stand tall, even when the weight of your past tries to pull you back down. Because that weight, that's not your punishment, it's your fuel. Every regret, every wrong turn, every broken promise, they're not signs of your failure. They're proof that you've lived, that you've tried, that you've dared to care, to love, to fight. And now, you'll dare to rise. The world will not make it easy for you. It never does for those who defy it. It will test you, taunt you, try to break you again and again. But here's the secret. Every time it does, you will grow stronger. Because the world underestimates those like you. It sees your cracks and calls them weaknesses. But what it doesn't understand is this. The light shines brightest through the cracks. And the more they try to shatter you, the more impossible it becomes to contain your brilliance. You are not fragile. You are not weak. You are not a mistake waiting to be corrected. You are a force waiting to be unleashed. So unleash it, And when they ask you how you did it, how you found the strength to keep going, to rewrite the story they swore was set in stone, you tell them this: I stopped believing the lies. Because that's all they ever were. Lies to keep you small. Lies to keep you in line. Lies to convince you that you needed their permission to be great. But greatness doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for approval. It doesn't knock politely at the door. Greatness kicks the door down, and that is what you are. You are the storm they never saw coming, the fire they thought they'd extinguished, the story they couldn't control. And now they'll watch as you rise higher than they ever dreamed possible. Not because you were handed anything, not because it was easy, but because you chose to rewrite the story, because you refused to be a victim of someone else's pen. So write. Write without fear, without hesitation, without apology. Write as if your life depends on it, because it does. And when the final chapter comes, it won't be written in the ink of regret. It will be written in fire, in triumph, in the unshakable truth that you did this. You, the author of your destiny. You, the architect of your freedom. You, the legend that refused to kneel. So rise, burn, rewrite the story. Because this world, it wasn't ready for you, and it never will be. And that is your power. The world doesn't need to be ready for you. It doesn't need to understand you, accept you, or even welcome you. You don't exist for its approval. You exist to shatter its expectations, to defy its rules, to burn brighter than it ever thought possible. Let them stare, let them whisper. Let them tremble in the shadow of your ascent. Do not concern yourself with their doubts, their envy, their attempts to pull you back into the darkness they refuse to escape. You've seen the darkness, you've lived in it. You've fought battles in its depths they will never comprehend. And now, you rise not because the darkness is gone, but because you've become its master. The shadows no longer frighten you. The pain no longer holds you. The scars no longer define you. No, they are simply part of the story. A story that you control now. Every step forward is a step away from the version of yourself they wanted you to be. Every decision you make is a declaration of defiance. Every breath you take is proof that you are not their creation. You are yours. And don't for a second think that this journey ends. No, rewriting your story isn't a one-time act. It's a lifetime of choices, a lifetime of battles, a lifetime of growth. There will be more obstacles, more doubts, more moments when you feel the weight of it all pressing down on your shoulders. But you've already proven you can carry that weight. You've already shown the strength to endure, to rise, to rewrite. And every time you do, the story gets better, richer, more powerful. Do you see it now? The power was never outside of you. It was never in their hands, their approval, their rules. It's been within you all along, waiting for you to claim it. You were never the victim. You were never the villain. You were always the hero, the author, the force of nature they couldn't predict. And now as the world watches, as they scramble to understand how someone like you could rise from the ashes, let them see the truth. Let them see that you were never broken, just transforming. Let them see that every setback, every failure, every tear shed in solitude was building something greater. And when they ask, how did you do it? Don't give them the answer they expect. Don't give them the cliches, the platitudes, the sanitized version of your journey. Look them in the eye and say, I stopped waiting for permission. I became what I was always meant to be. Because that's the secret, isn't it? The permission they told you to wait for? It never existed. The limits they placed on you? Illusions. The role they assigned you? A lie. You've torn through the fabric of their reality and created your own. A world where you are the architect, the sculptor, the creator. A world where you are not confined by their fear, but driven by your own boundless potential. And if they fear you now, good. Fear is the first step to respect. And respect, that is earned, not demanded. You earn it by standing tall when the storm rages. by speaking your truth when the silence threatens to suffocate you, by walking forward, even when the path is uncertain and the ground beneath you quakes. You've walked through the fire. You've faced the abyss. You've heard the lies and refused to believe them. And now, you stand at the edge of a new chapter, pen in hand, ready to carve your story into the universe itself. So write it boldly. Write it with conviction, with passion, with the unshakable knowledge that this story, this life is yours, and not theirs, not yours. And when they try to rewrite your story again, when they try to drag you back into the shadows, remember this: the only power they have is the power you give them. Take it back, all of it. Every ounce, every fragment, because you don't owe them anything. Not your silence, not your compliance, not your submission. You owe yourself everything. And everything is exactly what you will take. So stand, rise. Blaze a path so bright, so fierce, that they can no longer look away. Let them see what it means to defy the script, to tear down the walls, to rewrite the story they thought was already told. And let them know with every step you take, every word you write, every fire you ignite, that you are no longer the prisoner of their narrative. You are the author. And this story is just getting started, because the story of someone like you, someone who refuses to be bound by chains, someone who tears through every false ceiling, someone who bends the rules of the universe to their will, that story never truly ends. It echoes, it ripples through time, through hearts, through minds. It leaves a mark that cannot be erased, and let them try to erase it. Let them spend their days rewriting their own narratives to avoid the truth of yours. They'll scramble to pretend it didn't happen, that your rise wasn't real, that your fire wasn't as fierce as they feared. But deep down they will know, and they will know. Because the light you've become, the force you now embody, is impossible to forget. It's etched into their memory, into their world, into their reality. You are the living proof that they were wrong. That all their rules, their limits, their declarations of what you could and could not be, none of it held power. You shattered it all, and that is why they will never be able to control you again. So, keep going, keep writing, keep evolving. The world will throw its worst at you, because it always does to those who challenge it, to those who refuse to stay in their place. But let them come. Let the storms rage, let the ground beneath your feet quake, let the shadows close in around you. Because you have faced worse, and every time you rose, this time will be no different. Every new challenge is a blank page, a fresh opportunity to carve something extraordinary. And you will. Because the truth is, this story isn't just for you anymore. No. Now it's for those who watch you. Those who see you rise and begin to wonder if they too can rewrite their stories. They'll watch you, not out of envy or malice, but with a spark of hope they've almost forgotten. And that's the beauty of it, isn't it? Your fire isn't just yours. It spreads. It lights the path for others who thought they were lost. It shows them that they are not alone, that the darkness isn't the end, that their story too is still unwritten. But don't misunderstand, this isn't about saving them. No, that's not your responsibility. You are not here to carry their weight or fight their battles. You are here to show them what's possible, to inspire, not to rescue. Because the truth is, no one saved you, you saved yourself. And that is why your story is so powerful. Because it wasn't handed to you. It wasn't gifted or easy or clean. It was messy, brutal, relentless. And yet, here you are, breathing, standing, creating, a force of nature, unstoppable, unbreakable, unapologetic. And if they still doubt you, if they still try to tell you who you're supposed to be, let them. Their words hold no weight anymore. Their opinions are the whispers of a dying world, a world that cannot survive the fire you've become. Because you are done waiting, done listening, done apologizing. This is your story. Write it with blood if you must, with tears if you must, with fire if you must, but write it relentlessly, fiercely, without hesitation, without pause. And when the final page comes, not because they decided it, but because you decided it, you'll look back and see something extraordinary. You'll see a story that no one else could have written, a journey that no one else could have endured, a life that no one else could have lived. You'll see the battles fought, the odds defied, the moments of doubt that turned into moments of triumph. And you'll know with every fiber of your being that it was worth it. Every tear, every scar, every fall, it was worth it. Because you didn't just live a life. You own it. You didn't just follow a path, you blazed one. You didn't just exist, you became. So keep going. Keep rising. Keep rewriting. Because your story isn't finished yet. And when the world finally understands the magnitude of who you are and what you've done, it will be too late for them to stop you. Too late for them to turn back the tide, to extinguish the fire, to undo the legend that you've become. You are here to stay. Not as an afterthought, not as a supporting character, not as a shadow of someone else's creation, but as the main character, the writer, the force they never saw coming. And they will remember you. Not for how you followed their rules, but for how you broke them. Not for how you played it safe, but for how you risked it all. Not for how you stayed silent, but for how you roared. Because this is your story, and no one, not them, not the world, not fate itself, can take that from you. So rise again, write again, burn brighter. The story isn't over, it's only just begun. Because the moment you take control, the moment you pick up the pen and declare, "This is mine," the universe shifts, the rules bend, the impossible begins to look possible, and the weight that once pressed down on your chest no longer feels unbearable. It feels like fuel. Do you feel it, that pull in your gut, that fire under your skin? It's not just ambition, it's not just resilience, it's destiny calling you to the front lines. And destiny does not whisper, it roars. It demands that you step into the arena again and again, even when you're tired, even when you're battered, even when every part of you screams to rest. Because deep down, you know what's at stake. You know what it means to keep moving forward. It means you become untouchable. Because what can they do to you now? They've tried their worst already. They've thrown their stones, whispered their lies, tried to drown you in their expectations. And yet, here you are. Unbowed, unbroken. Let them try again. Let them scheme and plot and claw at the foundation of what you've built. They will fail, not because you're invincible, but because you're relentless. And relentlessness is the most dangerous weapon of all. You don't stop. You don't give in. You don't accept their version of reality. Instead, you press forward, carving your path through the storm, daring the world to stop you. They'll say you're arrogant, that you're overreaching, that you don't know your limits. Good, let them. Because those words are nothing more than a reflection of their own fears. They see in you what they wish they could be, fearless, unyielding, free, and they hate it. Not because of who you are, but because of who they aren't. But don't let their bitterness taint your vision. Their jealousy is not your burden to bear. Their smallness is not your concern. You didn't rise to prove them wrong. You rose to prove yourself right. And now that you've tasted that freedom, that fire, that raw, unfiltered power, you won't go back. You can't. Because you've seen what's possible. You've felt what it's like to break free of their chains, to crush their expectations, to step into the fullness of who you are. And it's intoxicating, isn't it? To know that the limits they spoke of, the walls they built around you, were nothing but illusions. To know that you've shattered those illusions, that you've become something they could never control. Every loss, every setback, every misstep, it's all part of the process. The story isn't written in perfect lines and flawless victories. It's written in chaos, in struggle, in the moments where you have to claw your way forward despite the odds. And those moments, those are the ones that define you. Not the easy wins, not the moments when everything falls into place, but the moments when it all feels like it's falling apart. And yet you keep going. That's where the magic happens. That's where legends are born. And you're writing a legend. One that will outlast the whispers of your doubters, the schemes of your enemies, and even the limits of your own mortality. Because when you live like this, fully, fiercely, unapologetically, you don't just create a story, you create a legacy. And legacies, my friend, are eternal. So ask yourself this: what will yours say? Will it tell of someone who waited, who hesitated, who let the world dictate their path? Or will it tell of someone who stood up, who fought back, who dared to defy every expectation and rewrite the rules? You already know the answer. The ones who doubted you will be forced to watch as you rise. The ones who tried to stop you will see their efforts crumble. And the ones who believed in you, truly believed, will see their faith rewarded. But most importantly, you will see what you're truly capable of. And that's the greatest reward of all. Not their applause, not their recognition, but the undeniable knowledge that you are exactly who you were meant to be. The fire, the storm, the architect. The author of a story that no one else could have written. So go on. Keep writing.